All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us for our first webinar for the Solarize Hood River County campaign. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here right now with you. This campaign has been a long time in preparation. There's a number of organizations involved, and so it's really great that the campaign has launched this week. I'm very excited to talk about what the campaign is and a little bit about solar, and get to know some of the folks on the line and see if we can answer some questions too. My name is Zach Snyder. I'm a program manager with the nonprofit Solar Oregon. And let's dive into our agenda. So we're going to start talking about the campaign, what is Solarize, and what you could expect if you participate and how to do that. Then we're going to go over some background information about solar and battery storage. So we'll go over a little bit about the technology, net metering, things like that. We're going to talk a little bit about what makes a site good for solar. This is for you to think about your own site, your own home, get some ideas, and help you assess that a little bit. Then we're going to talk about the great incentives that are available to help you go solar, including the discount related to the Solarize campaign. And we are going to finish up talking about how to sign up and what the installation process looks like. And we'll take a look at our installation partners, the contractors that are part of the campaign. After the webinar, we're going to run straight through all that content. And then we will take Q&A, and I really love to focus on Q&A, make this as interactive as possible. And so any questions that you have that you've brought to the webinar today or that come up for you during the event, would love to answer those at the end. And I'll show you what our Q&A box looks like and how to use that in just a second. First, let's introduce some of the organizations involved in this campaign. So Jenny, would you like to introduce Energy Trust, or I'm also happy to do that? Maybe I'll just jump in here. Energy Trust of Oregon is a key organization in this campaign. They are an independent nonprofit. They provide access to affordable, clean, and efficient energy for 1.6 million customers who are people who are customers of Portland General Electric, Pacific Power, Northwest Natural, Cascade Natural Gas, and Vista. They provide some really awesome solar incentives. So huge thanks to Energy Trust of Oregon for that, for supporting programs like Solarize and other programs that help people access solar and other clean energy technologies. Next, I'm going to hand it over to Eve Elderwell, who is with the Next Door, a key partner in Hood River County. Eve, do you want to give a quick intro?
Sure. Thanks so much, Zach. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us on the first of several Solarize workshops over the next month. I'm Eve Elderwell, a program manager here at the Next Door. The Next Door is one of the largest nonprofit organizations in the Gorge region. We serve 7 counties spanning both the Washington and the Oregon side of the river, and have existed as an agency for over 50 years at this point, with a current staff body of over 80 staff, in addition to over 80 different funding streams and over 35 programs across both states. We serve yearly over 3,500 families through some of the departments that you see here on the slide. We serve them through family services, we serve families and youth, we provide treatment services, we do a lot of health promotion in the community, and we support with outreach such as this Solarize campaign. So happy to be here as a part of the outreach team for this event. Thanks, Eve.
And yeah, it's been really great to work with the Next Door, get to know you guys, and one key part of the campaign also is providing a lot of the information in Spanish to Spanish speakers. And so you guys have been helping a lot with that. So that's been really great. All right, next, I am going to kick it over to Lindsay, if you would like to introduce MCED, and then also on the next slide is the Energy Council.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Thank you all for all the effort that's gone into planning and launching this campaign. Really excited to be here at our first workshop. So the Mid-Columbia Economic Development District has been a partner on this campaign. MCED is a local government that provides regional economic development for a 5-county bi-state region in Northern Oregon and Southern Washington, including Hood River County. What this looks like is creation of family wage jobs, diversification of the local economy, supporting business and industry growth and retention throughout our community. Part of this work is staffing the Hood River County Energy Council and providing support for other regional clean energy projects outside of Hood River County. Next slide.
Great. And then, yeah, there we go.
Thanks. And then the Hood River County Energy Council. This is a community-led advisory body that supports the implementation of the Hood River County Energy Plan. The energy plan was adopted by 4 governing bodies in Hood River County in 2018. So energy plan goals include replacing fossil fuel generated energy with clean renewable energy. Also improving resilience and energy independence by generating and storing energy locally. And specifically related to buildings in this campaign is reducing disparities in our community by increasing access to healthy, efficient homes, especially among low, moderate income and communities of color. In doing so, we help to reduce energy bills for energy burdened families in our community. And I do also want to highlight that this Solarize campaign plays a big part in the Hood River County Energy Council's 2022 to 2025 work plan.
Great, thanks, Lindsay. And like I said, I am a program manager with the nonprofit Solar Oregon. We are a statewide nonprofit. We're relatively small, but we've been around for 43 years, and I've been with Solar Oregon for the past 3. We focus on increasing the adoption of solar energy and related technologies like energy storage through education, outreach, community building, and advocacy. We are, I'm very excited to be part of Solarize campaigns. We also put on solar tours, including a large zero energy homes tour each October called the Go Zero Tour. And we also have how to go solar and storage workshops for communities across the state for home and business owners to learn a lot of what you're going to learn today about the technology and the incentives and the process for going solar. And I have the great privilege of talking to a lot of folks about solar and helping them on their solar journey. Just a quick note of housekeeping. We are on the Zoom platform, and as I mentioned, we have a Q&A box. Please put your questions in the Q&A box and not the chat box. If you don't see the Q&A box, you may have to mouse over your screen until you see your menu, and then you should see an icon that says Q&A. And again, we'll be looking for those throughout, so just put them in there whenever you have the question. We'll put links in the chat box. And so you can look for that there, and also please use the chat box. But if you have questions, just put them in the Q&A box. I am going to launch a couple of polls because I like to get to know where folks are joining from and some things about you and your familiarity with solar. So if you would, I just launched our first poll asking where you're joining from. We're kind of going from more specific to less specific. So if you don't see your city or town in the first few options, you can look at Hood River County, Columbia River Gorge, Oregon generally, Washington, etc. All right, we have got, you guys are pretty quick. Let's go ahead and end that poll. And looks like we got a lot of folks in Hood River, which is great. I have a couple other polls. I also have a demographics poll I'm going to launch real quick. It's a few questions, so I'm going to leave it up for just a minute. And thank you so much. These are the polls we're not going to share out. And I see we just ticked up a number, so welcome to whoever just joined us. All right, I'm going to go ahead. Thank you guys for that. And I've got one last poll before we actually jump in. And this is probably the most important one. How familiar are you with solar and battery storage? So there's two questions: solar, battery storage, from very unfamiliar to very familiar, or even you already have solar. All right. Oh, good. We have everybody. You guys are very quick. Thank you so much. And I'm going to just share this out. This is great. Looks like a lot of folks are somewhat familiar. Some folks are either very or somewhat very familiar, or somewhat unfamiliar. And I hope that we all can level up our knowledge today. That's the goal. So without any further delay, let's jump in. So I'm going to talk first about what is Solarize, give a little more background and the structure of the campaign. So Solarize began in 2009 in Southeast Portland, and it is a campaign structure that allows homeowners in a certain area to go solar together, and in doing so, access all the benefits of solar energy, in this case, also battery storage, if you so choose, and also get a little campaign discount on your installation. This is a concept that became very popular. And so it started here in Oregon. It's been repeated many times throughout Oregon, including a couple of times in Hood River County area. And so you may be familiar with Solarize from Hood River County's past Solarize campaigns. I'm thrilled to be here as part of this continuing Solarize tradition in the Gorge. The campaign is 2 months long. We started on September 6th, 2 days ago, and your last day to sign up is October 31st. And the campaign partners have worked hard to find contractor partners who are well vetted, great contractors to work with. And when you sign up with the campaign, you'll be connected with a contractor who will be able to help you to go solar as part of the campaign. We are also offering educational workshops. This is the first of 4 virtual webinars that we're going to have over the next few weeks. We are also going to have an in-person event at the Hood River County Library. That location was just confirmed today, so excited about that. That's on September 24th from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. So make sure that you check out that. All of the information and I don't know if anybody's dropping links in the chat, but sometimes you have to specify who you drop it to. Anyway, I just dropped some links in the chat. We have a campaign website. It's up on the MCED website. It has a lot of great information about the campaign, including a link to the sign-up form, which is also in the chat here. And the website and the sign-up form are also in Spanish. If you speak Spanish, or if you know someone who wants to learn more and speak Spanish, our in-person event on the 24th will also have an interpreter from English to Spanish. So a couple notes about why Solarize. Lindsay gave a great overview of the Hood River County Energy Plan. Hood River County is unique in terms of its energy geography. The Columbia River Gorge is a place where it's more likely that there will be power outages, and there are unique aspects of energy in the gorge and the energy goals that communities in the gorge have decided to adopt. And so of course, Solarize is important because solar has so many benefits, including saving money on electric bills, storage helps keep the lights on during an outage. But there are great reasons why Solarize is important in Hood River County. A little reminder, so just on the dates here, October 31st is the last day to sign up. And that is, you do that through this sign up form, just to give you a visual. And it's a pretty quick form, it's 2 minutes. What actually are you doing when you sign up on this form? You're giving some basic information about you and your address, what you're looking for, things like that, where you heard about the campaign. Once you submit this form, you will be connected, like I said, with a contractor. Submitting the form does not obligate you to actually install solar in any way. It just is your way of declaring your interest in the campaign. And it's necessary to submit your form response by October 31st if you want to get the campaign discount and participate in that way. However, like I said, there's no obligation when you submit the form. So I encourage you, even if you're just curious, to do that before the end of the campaign. And then the installation process will happen afterwards. So here's a little overview of what to expect if you participate. You can sign up in the form. The contractor you get paired with will they'll assess your home. They'll provide you with a free custom quote, and that's something that you can assess. You'll get a full picture of what the system will cost, what it'll look like, and what it will do for you in terms of producing energy. At that point, you can decide at your own leisure, so you don't have to do that before October 31st. You can take a little time to decide and then commit to the campaign. And your installation will happen then in the future, likely in 2023. So that's the process here, the ladder of engagement for the Solarize campaign. So now let's jump into some of the content about what is solar, how does it work, and what does it look like. I'm going to start off with a diagram here of a solar system. You'll see the solar panel. It's labeled photovoltaic panel. That sits on the roof of your home, or it could be mounted on a ground mount next to the home or somewhere else in your property. Sunlight strikes that panel. It produces electricity as a voltage. There are two types of voltages in general. There's DC electricity and AC electricity. If you don't know what that means, that's totally fine. But solar panels produce one of them, DC electricity, and everything in your home uses AC electricity. And so we have a special box called an inverter, or we have a set of boxes called microinverters. They do the same exact thing, and they convert that DC electricity into AC electricity. From there, the solar system gets plugged into your home electrical panel. That's your breaker box, might be in your garage or somewhere else in your home. And from there, the electricity being produced by your solar panels can be used in all the circuits of your home, your lights, your refrigerator, any appliances you have. If you are producing excess solar energy at any given moment, you will be able to send that out through your utility meter onto the electrical grid. One note is that your utility meter, if you don't have solar, is a unidirectional meter. That means it only measures the energy that you are drawing in from the grid. But when you have solar, your utility company will swap that out for a bidirectional meter, so you can measure electricity going in both directions. At moments where you're not using where you're not producing enough solar energy to meet your demand, no worries, you're still connected to the grid and you can use energy coming in from the grid. As I mentioned, there are two ways to mount solar on a home. One is a roof mount that is incredibly popular, and the vast majority of solar systems are roof mounts. It's a great way to use roof space that's otherwise just sitting there baking in the sun. Ground mount is also a great option. You should note that you will need the space for a ground mount. You will also need to connect the ground mount still to your electrical panel, and that involves running a wire from wherever you have the ground mount to your home. And it so happens that that wire and installing the wire can be relatively expensive. And so if you have a ground mount that is far away from your home, that may increase the project cost to a certain degree. But these are both great options for mounting solar. As I mentioned, when you are producing excess solar energy, you can send that out to the grid. And because of a great system called net metering, you can get credit for that electricity. When you are producing excess during a month, you get net metering credit for that. During months when you are not producing as much solar energy as you need, for example, in the cloudier winter months, you can use some of the credits that you stored up. So I'm going to walk you through these two charts here. On the left is a summer month. The orange bar is the amount of solar energy produced during that month. And the green arrow is the net metering credit earned. The blue bar is the amount of electricity you used. And so that's the difference there, is the green arrow. And then over on the right, you see the red arrow is what you would be purchasing in excess of your production. Net metering is a great system. It does work a little bit differently between the different utilities. And there are three main utilities serving the Hood River County area, including Pacific Power, Hood River Electric Co-op, and Cascade Locks Municipal Power. So just note that there are some differences there, and you'll be able to talk with your contractor about what that means for your installation. So that's the basics of solar energy. Let's spend a little bit of time thinking about your home and what makes a home good for solar, and what can make a solar installation just a little bit trickier. The first thing I want to mention is system size. The size of your system is based first and foremost on how much electricity you consume. And this is because the net metering credits that I mentioned earlier they roll over from month to month, but they do not roll over from year to year. And so the excess credits that you have at the end of the net metering year, which is in Pacific Power territory, at least March 1st, those credits get donated to a fund for folks, and you don't get the economic benefit. So in terms of what is the sweet spot for designing the size of your system, if you are doing it to save money on your electric bills, it is based on going up to the amount of electricity you expect to use throughout the course of a year, but not exceeding that. Your contractor will be able to estimate that for you based on your past electrical usage. So they'll ask you for your electric bills. Other factors that can affect the system size are available roof space. Maybe you don't have enough to offset all of your energy consumption, but just a portion. That can still be a great option, but you'll just have a smaller system. Additionally, maybe you have a budget limit and you don't want to go above that. There are different reasons to limit the size of a solar system. The average size of solar system, I'm going to give you a funky metric here. It's called kW, that's kilowatt. And you should not worry about what that means, but I will reference later that the average size for a solar system is 8 kilowatts. However, systems do range widely from as little as less than 2 kilowatts up to considerably greater than 8 kilowatts. Next, you'll want to consider how much sunlight your roof or wherever you want to put your solar system actually receives. This is a diagram of a hypothetical home in its solar system, and you can see the cardinal directions here, north, south, east, west. The arcs here with the orange globe, that's the sun and the path that the sun takes in the sky. In the summer, it's a little bit higher. In the winter, it's a little bit lower. The main point here, though, is that the sun is in the southern sky because we're in the northern hemisphere. And that means that your south-facing roofs are going to be the best for solar. East and west-facing roofs can also work great for solar. West-facing roofs just ever so slightly better than east-facing roofs. You really don't see solar being put on north-facing roofs at all. And when you do on very rare occasion, it's kind of a funky racking setup and it looks a little weird. So it's probably not something you would consider. But this is something that your solar contractor will take a look at for you. Next, your roof. There are several aspects of your roof that your solar contractor is going to take a look at. One is, what is your roofing material? Solar can be installed on practically any roofing material. So if you have a weird roof or a weirdly great roof, that doesn't mean that you can't get solar. There are a couple of specific roof types that are very rare that do increase the cost of installation. But by and large, it's very easy to install on any roof. Two typical roof types are asphalt shingle and standing seam, and these are both excellent for solar installations. Next, you're going to want to look at your roof condition. Metal roofs are fantastic for solar. The reason you look at asphalt shingle roofs can also be fantastic. The reason you look at roof condition is because when your roof needs to be replaced, it needs to be replaced, and you can't really wait. And so when you replace your roof, you're going to have to uninstall your solar system, replace your roof, and then reinstall. And that is a lot of labor cost. And that's something you probably want to avoid. Some solar contractors will provide that as a service, but it is best to avoid that if you can. So metal roofs, they last an incredibly long time, and that's why there's less of an issue here. Asphalt shingle roofs can also last quite a while, but not quite as long as metal roofs. Typically, for example, the Energy Trust of Oregon incentives, if you want to take advantage of all your incentives, you're going to need to have at the minimum 10 years of roof life left. And it is ideal if you are considering re-roofing in the near future. Re-roofing is an excellent time to go solar if that is something that is coming up for you. Finally, what is underneath your roof is also important. On the left here and the right, I have images of two different types of roof structure. There's trusses where you see these support beams, and there's rafters where there's just the one beam that goes from the eave to the crest of the roof. Both of these roof types can work for solar. Trusses will always, practically always pass your structural code requirements. So the question here is, can you get the permit required for installation? With trusses, you should be A-okay. With rafters, you could also be just fine. If the rafters are too narrow or if they span too far a distance, your solar contractor may hire an engineer to take a look at that in order to get your permit. The engineer might take a look at that and say that's totally fine, or they may say you need to reinforce the roof, and the solar contractor will be able to perform that reinforcement. It's a relatively routine thing to do. However, the engineer cost and the reinforcement cost can add to the cost of the overall solar installation. So that is an overview of some characteristics of your home that you're going to want to consider when you go solar. I do want to pause for a second and just say, if you have any questions, please feel free to put those in the Q&A box at any point during the webinar, and then we'll just get to those at the end of the webinar. So let's talk now about battery storage, which is of particular interest in Hood River County. And we are talking here about solar plus storage. So batteries make solar more effective. And what I mean by that is that solar, there's a common misconception that solar allows you to use energy when the grid goes down. And solar by itself does not. That's a misconception. You have to add a battery in order for it to do that. Batteries, however, do that, and the solar makes the battery more effective, and the battery allows you to use the solar during an outage, so it makes the solar more effective. Energy resilience is an important topic in Hood River County. There are a number of things that can cause power outages. The most common causes of power outages are actually squirrels and things like squirrels that chew on wires, as well as storms that might knock down a tree onto a power line. And those might be the shorter outages that are more frequent. If you're someone who experiences a lot of outages, likely a lot of those outages have been caused by those things. In addition, there are some specific energy resilience hazards that are relevant to the gorge. One of them is public safety power shutoffs. That's PSPS for short. And what that is the electrical utilities in certain areas of their grid are sometimes need to shut down their electrical infrastructure to a whole part of the grid, a whole community, so that their infrastructure doesn't risk causing a wildfire during hot and windy conditions, for example. Hood River County has been identified as one of the places in Oregon where public safety power shutoffs are more likely, especially in the future as the incidence of wildfire is expected to increase. And so that is one consideration in Hood River County. Another is general to the western half of Oregon in general, and that is the Cascadia seismic hazard. When the grid goes down, it's estimated that in certain parts of the grid, folks could lose energy for several weeks. On the coast, it's worse, it's potentially for months, but regardless, there is a risk to energy resilience in the Columbia River Gorge. So solar plus storage, that's solar panels on the roof or on a ground mount, and a battery in the garage, say, or in a shed, can be an excellent solution to give you access to electricity during an outage. So there are a couple of things to keep in mind here. The most important thing is that folks sometimes have outsized expectations of what a battery can do. It's important to set your expectations so you know what a battery can do for you. A single battery will not likely be able to back up all the circuits in your home and allow you to use all of them, and especially the most energy intensive ones like a jacuzzi or a ton of space heaters, things like that, that might use a lot of energy for a long period of time during an outage. So what is most common is doing what's called a partial home backup with a single battery. And that's where you separate some of the circuits in your circuit breaker from the rest of the circuits, and you only tie those circuits to the battery. So that means you are planning what it is you're going to use during an outage when you install the battery. Alternatively, some folks are able to and interested in installing multiple batteries. And in that case, you can do a whole home backup in some cases, but it does increase the cost of installation. What is the process, the conversation you'll have with your contractor when you're considering adding a battery to a solar installation? There are two basic questions, and you'll need to balance between these two things. One is, what needs power? So you're asking here, what do I want to use during an outage? Do I want to use some lights? Do I want to keep my refrigerator running so food doesn't spoil? Do I want to have a couple of outlets to charge computers and cell phones, things like that? What can I what can I give? What can I not power so that I can use these appliances longer? So that balance then determines how long you can use your appliances, whatever you're backing up. This is a little bit more of an involved conversation. Your contractor will ask you about, what are the appliances you have? What are the circuits? what are your priorities? What kinds of outages do you want to be able to persist through? And so know that that is a little bit like a consultation process with your contractor. When you actually install a partial home backup, this is what it looks like when you take some of the circuits, you put them in a separate circuit breaker panel. And that is called the essential loads panel. And that is what you connect to the battery. And those are the circuits that you power during an outage. And like I said, the other ones remain without power during an outage. So that is a primer on energy storage. Let's jump into the incentives that you have available to you to go solar. There are some really great incentives in Oregon, and I'm going to walk through them now. The Energy Trust of Oregon provides solar incentives. The state of Oregon provides a solar and storage rebate. And the country, the federal government, provides a solar investment tax credit. Energy Trust incentives come in two flavors. There's their standard incentive, which is $600. There's also a solar within reach incentive that for Pacific Power customers is up to $6,000, and that is based on your income. If you're below a pretty generous income threshold, you may have access to that, and I'll talk about that more in a second. One thing to note is that Energy Trust of Oregon is specific to the utilities they serve. That includes Pacific Power. It does not include the Hood River Electric Co-op or Cascade Electric, Municipal Electric. The solar and storage rebate is up to $5,000 for solar and up to an additional $2,500 for energy storage if that battery is tied to a solar system. And that both of these two first incentives, your contractor will apply for upfront, pass that on to you, and you'll get those incentives immediately. The solar investment tax credit is an incentive that's been around since 2008 and was just extended by recent legislation. And the rate went back up to 30% for that tax credit. And so you'll be able to take advantage of that. You do that on your taxes when you file the following year. And so just note that big incentive, the 30% one, is something that you have to have tax liability, and you don't get it immediately, but you get it soon after. So a couple of quick notes about Energy Trust of Oregon's Solar Within Reach incentive. Again, this is a tremendous incentive, up to $6,000 for Pacific Power customers. And this is, you are qualified for this incentive if you fall below certain, like I said, pretty generous income thresholds. An example is that a family of four can earn no more than $112,860. You'll see in the links that were in the chat, a link to more information about that incentive. And you can see all of the income brackets there. A couple of notes about the state solar plus storage rebate. Like I said, up to $5,000. Anybody in the state can take advantage of that. $5,000 for solar, up to $2,500 for storage. When I say up to, it is a $1 per watt incentive, just like the solar within reach. And there are different rates based on your situation. So it is 20 cents per watt of your system size if you are in Pacific Power and have access to Energy Trust of Oregon incentives. If you are in a utility that you do not have access to Energy Trust incentives, then it's 40 cents per watt. And if you meet certain income requirements and you fall below that threshold, it's actually $1.80 per watt. Let's take a look at an example budget for a solar system. This is often folks' favorite slide. Everybody is wondering, okay, well, how much does a solar system cost? I'm going to walk through an example, but please take this with a grain of salt, because there are a lot of factors that affect the cost of a solar system, including not least system size. So we're taking a look at an average 8 kilowatt solar system. And we're making some assumptions about this installation and basically assuming that it's a pretty easy install. So that being said, there are two columns. The middle column is shows the cost up at the beginning before incentives. Then we're going to apply all the incentives. And that is for folks who do not have access to the income-based incentives. On the right column, that is for folks who do. And one thing to keep in mind is that the solar within reach and the state income-based incentives have different thresholds at which you're eligible. So you'll just have to keep that in mind. Your contractor will help you navigate all this and they'll apply for these incentives for you. So we're going to assume a pre-incentive cost for this 8 kilowatt system of $26,400 in both cases. This Solarize campaign gives you a discount, and that is $1,000 off of your system cost. So that is applied first. Then we're going to take a look at the Energy Trust of Oregon incentive. That for the middle column is $600. If you have access to solar within reach, that's again $6,000. This is for Pacific Power, by the way, this whole slide. I'm going to show another slide for Hood River Electric Co-op and Cascade Locks. After the Energy Trust incentive, we're going to apply the Oregon Department of Energy, the state solar plus storage rebate. That is $1,600 in this case for an 8 kilowatt system for somebody in Pacific Power. If you meet the income threshold, that is going to jump up to $5,000. So the out-of-pocket cost to the customer in this case is going to be $23,200 for folks who can't access the income-based incentives, and $14,400 for folks who can. The next year, when you apply for your taxes, you'll be able to apply for the 30% tax credit. And that's an additional almost $7,000 in the middle column or $4,300 in the right column, bringing the net cost of the installation to $16,000 roughly or $10,000 roughly, respectively. This is the cost of the net cost of the installation before the installation starts to save you money. And so that's the whole point, is that your solar system will hopefully last for decades, and you'll be saving energy, and eventually the system will pay for itself. So let's take a look at a sample budget now for Hood River Electric Co-op or Cascade Locks. I'm not going to run through all the columns because we just saw on the last slide, but we're going to start with the same assumption of $26,400. We're going to apply the Solarize campaign discount of $1,000. Then the state rebate, $4,000 or $5,000 respectively. Remember, this is outside of Energy Trust territory, so that doesn't apply here. The out-of-pocket cost to customer is $21,000 for non-income based, or income-based incentives is $1,000 less at $20,000. Then after the incentive, they both drop down to roughly $15,000 or $14,000 respectively. So hopefully this gives you a qualified example of what a system could cost. Again, you're going to need to wait until you get a quote for your site to learn exactly how much it will be for you. So let's talk about how you sign up. Again, this is the sign up form. That's the link there. You can also see in the chat the link dropped. That link is also on the campaign website. Bookmark this, keep it in mind, and I'd say if you have any interest, again, this is no obligation, so you can fill it out today and make sure that you can save your spot in Solarize. And let's meet our contractor partners. We have two awesome contractor partners. Our one partner is Common Energy. Common Energy is based in Hood River County. The owner is Scott Sorensen, and Common Energy has been around for 19 years. And we're excited to have Common Energy be a part of the campaign. They do awesome work. And we also have Sunbridge Solar. Sunbridge Solar is a registered B Corp. Owner is Jordan Weissman, pictured here in the photograph. Sunbridge has been around for 12 years. And we actually have Rachel. Rachel, just if you want to just like say hi and wave. Yeah,
I can talk for a bit if you want.
Yeah, if you want to just give like a real brief intro, but we're gonna have you available for Q&A mostly.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'll just be quick. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel. I'm a solar estimator at Sunbridge Solar. My job is to educate homeowners on the basics of solar, which Zach has done a tremendous job of today, as well as the incentives available to them. And Sunbridge Solar, we've been around since 2010, so that's for 12 years, like Zach mentioned. And we are a certified B Corporation, so we value our workers, customers, environment, community as much as our profits. And on behalf of everyone at Sunbridge Solar, we are so excited and honored to be a part of the Solarize Oregon campaign.
awesome. Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, great to have you here. And if you do have specific technical questions, like I said, Rachel might be a great resource in the Q&A. So those are our two installers, really great installers for the Solarize campaign. So very excited about that. I want to give you a quick overview of what solar installation looks like in terms of the process. So, contractors provide what is called a turnkey service, meaning that when you decide it's time to go solar, I'm ready, I want to do this, you sign the contract, you pay for the system. The contractor handles everything else, and that includes the permitting, applying for the Energy Trust of Oregon and the state rebate incentives on your behalf and passing that on to you. And then once that portion of the preparation is complete, which can take a couple of months just to set your expectations, at a certain point, the contractor will get you on their construction calendar, and the installation itself takes just 1 or 2 days for most residential installs. And so that's the great news. It's a relatively painless process to actually install. After installation, there are a couple of things that the contractor will need to do, including manage the inspections for the system, as well as get you your new bidirectional meter for your net metering. And then they will commission your system and turn it on as soon as the utility gives them the green light. So that's the process. If you participate in the campaign here in September, October, you probably won't expect your installation date to be before 2023, just to set your expectations. So it's good to know that there will be a little bit of a process there. But that's it, and it's very easy. And once you're installed, you have sunshine powering your lights, your appliances, everything in your home, and it is a tremendous feeling. So that is our presentation for this webinar, the first virtual webinar on how to go solar and storage. We are going to get right into Q&A. I just want to make a couple of notes. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who has been involved. So far, there have been a lot of people involved in putting this campaign together. We're very excited about this. There are a lot of organizations who have helped us to spread the word. If you are excited about this campaign, please help us get the word out. Share this with a friend, with a neighbor. Share the campaign website or the sign up form link with them. And let's get the word out about this, because this is a great opportunity. I am going to launch our final poll while we are doing Q&A, and this is a post-event survey. And this is really helpful for us to make sure that we are providing content that's useful to you. So without further ado, let's jump into the Q&A. And I am going to, where are we at here? All right, we got 4 questions. Let's keep these rolling in. So any question you have about solar generally, energy storage, about the campaign, or about your site in particular that you want to ask, feel free to put in the Q&A. So first question here is, can you please share more about new roofing with solar installation? if we need a new roof, would roofing and solar installation happen at the same time? This is a great question. And again, when you re-roof, that's an awesome time to go solar. In terms of whether it happens at the same time, I will just say generally, and then Rachel, if you have any comments that you want to make, feel free to from Sunbridge's perspective. But some contractors like to work with roofing companies, and that coordination can be useful. I'm not sure how much everybody likes to install at the same exact time, literally, but coordination is sometimes useful, and the fact that you know that you're re-roofing is useful. Anything to add?
Yeah, I was going to say you're totally correct with coordination is useful, but as long as the roof is installed and then we, can install the solar right afterwards, there doesn't have to be a same day coordination. It's more just so we're moving things along while your roof is being installed, and then we're ready to go once the roof's been installed.
Great, thanks. All right, we've got another question here. How much extra cost for battery to have a backup? That is an excellent question. Battery installation can vary, just like solar installation. And it does depend on what equipment you're installing, how many batteries you're installing. Rachel, I don't know if you like to quote, if you feel secure in your ability to quote a storage system, or if that really depends on site by site.
No, I can go ahead and quote for an easier, pretty straightforward battery install for one battery, so a partial backup situation, it would be around 18.5K, and that includes the battery. For us, we install N-phase batteries, so that would have 10 kilowatts of capacity, as well as the IQ system controller, which is the brains of the battery, and all of the hours to, like Zach said, pull those loads out of the main panel and put them in a sub panel for you. If you wanted to do whole home backup, any additional battery after that first one is going to be 10K. So for a whole home, you could go get that for 28.5K.
Great, thanks. And we have lots of questions here. I also just remembered, I want to make the note that this is being recorded, and so you will have access to all this information too. And we're going to put this up on the campaign website. So, all right, next question. What is the process if a solar panel is damaged in a storm or fails on its own? Again, I'm going to give a general thing, and Rachel, feel free to, don't feel pressure, to add on if you don't want to. But if a solar panel is damaged, say because of hail, or maybe like a tree branch were to blow off and fall on it, one of the pieces of good news is that if one panel is damaged and stops producing energy, that doesn't necessarily affect the rest of the system. There are warranties involved. I will let Rachel maybe makes a notes on, because this is the edge of my knowledge here, on what a warranty might cover or not.
Yeah, so all the panels that we install have 25-year product and performance warranties. If one of your panels is broken, then you would call up Sunbridge and we would come out and check out the panel and replace it, with the manufacturer funding the cost of the part replacement. Our workmanship warranty is for 10 years, so we would cover the labor for the first 10 years. Anything additional after that can vary with the manufacturer's warranties. With the more premium panels, you can get a full coverage 25-year parts and labor for the panel and microinverter. And yeah, but we'd probably get that, replaced within 5 to 7 business days, depending on, the urgency of the situation.
Great, thank you. All right, JD asks, what does a battery system add to the cost? I think we answered that, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one. This person asks, can I install the solar system myself and still get rebates? There are some solar DIY options. There are a lot of reasons to have an installer install your system for you. It is far and away how solar systems are installed. And so a lot of the things in terms of applying for incentives, first off, the Energy Trust of Oregon incentive, you cannot receive unless you have an Energy Trust rated trade ally installer, like our installation partners here, the great installation partners of this campaign, installing that. So you won't be able to take advantage of all the incentives. And I would caution that there's a lot of reasons to have a solar company install for you. I have heard of the occasional DIY installation, but that's not something that I would necessarily recommend or have a whole lot of information on.
A lot of the warranties are also for 12 years instead of 25 years if you install them yourself.
Great. Yeah, that's great information. Good question, though. JD asks, what physical size for an 8 kilowatt system? So how many panels? That's a great question. That does depend on the wattage of the panel. You might be looking around, Rachel, am I right, on the current generation of panels? Maybe that's about 24, 25 panels for an 8 kilowatt system.
Right now, 400 watt panels are really big on the market. So I would say 20 panels.
Great.
But 24, 26, if it's going to be like a 370 watt panel or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that about that many panels. In terms of the physical dimensions, I maybe that's partially what you're getting at. Panels do have a specific size. I believe it's 36 by 65-ish inches. And so that might give you a sense. You can also see, if you need to reference that on Google, and you can get a sense for how much roof area that might take up. Kathy asks, someone came out, and I would like to know if the installation is February to March. How does this affect the federal tax if I bought and sold a house in 2022? I just want to make sure I'm parsing this question and I understand it correctly.
I can jump in if you want.
Okay, yeah, do you have an answer?
Yeah, so the federal tax credit applies to the year that your solar system was installed. So if it's installed in 2023, then it would apply to 2023's taxes, which you would do in spring of 2024.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's probably what's being asked here. If that wasn't it, feel free to resubmit in the Q&A. Another question here: how would a system with battery backup work with an existing home backup generator? That's a great question. There are ways to stitch a lot of different technologies together when it comes to home energy. Rachel, I would lean on you in terms of what you guys are familiar with and what you feel comfortable installing.
Yeah, Enphase, the battery company that we install, they excel with their generator compatibility and integration, as long as it's one of the generators that is compatible with the battery. Otherwise, you can kind of have it set up so that the house immediately goes onto the battery, and then if the battery becomes depleted, you can then start up the generator.
Great, thank you. And I see a request for the sign-up links and other links. So I'm just going to put all those links in the chat again. So feel free to look in there for that reference. Deborah asks, what is the advantage of being part of the Solarize Hood River campaign? So a couple of advantages here. One is the discount. There is $1,000 discount. If you sign up before October 31st, you'll have access to that if you then go solar with the bid that you're offered from the company you're paired with. Solarize is also a way to for us to provide to take a look at the companies that we're partnering with and make sure that we're really offering the best options in terms of companies for you to install solar. And so it's a great way also to get information through our educational workshops. And so partially this is about outreach and awareness. I'm expecting that a lot of people will go solar, some folks will get batteries, but a lot of people will learn about solar and energy storage and may consider that in the future. So in terms of the advantage, there's the discount, and I would say just the access to information. Another question here, can you please, oh yeah, sorry, that's putting the link in the chat. Next question, will the companies listed be around for the next 10 to 25 years? So many have, some companies have gone bankrupt. What happens then in terms of warranty? So this is, again, this is why, another reason why we have pre-vetted contractors. Common Energy and Sunbridge Solar have both been around for quite a while. And some of the companies this question is mentioning, that in the early days of the industry of solar, did some installations and then closed shop. That is not the case here, and that is a pretty long time in the past. And so that's one of the advantages of this campaign here. And it's a great question though, because you want to know if your contractor is going to be around to help you with maintenance, things like that. The product warranties, I believe, wouldn't be affected, but there are extra warranties offered by contractors. So in terms of the warranties, Rachel, do you have any other comments there?
Yeah, so the manufacturers have their warranties. So the manufacturers are going to be around for a long time, no matter what. So if we were to go out of business, then the manufacturer would pay for whatever their warranty outline. So for example, the more premium warranties cover parts and labor for both panel and microinverter replacement. So you'd be completely covered for 25 years. Whereas some of the other panels have a parts and performance warranty for 25 years, and you'd have to pay for the labor. But I think that's also why Solarize Oregon found two companies that have been around for over a decade, which is pretty rare. So I think we know what we're doing.
Yeah. Great. And then last question here, if you have another question, sneak it in the Q&A box. Otherwise, we'll wrap up after this one. Would the battery backup use the generator automatic transfer switch? Rachel, this is another question for you.
This is too technical for me.
Too technical, okay. Yeah, great question, though I'm sure there's probably folks in your shop who have that answer, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I would just bring that question to you when you're meeting with your contractor, and they'll be able to get that for you.
Okay, great. Well, it looks like that's all of our questions. So thanks again to Rachel, to Jenny Hall, Lindsay, and Eve for being here. And thanks especially to everybody who joined us tonight. I am so excited to see this campaign take off. I'm excited to see how many solar systems will go up in Hood River County. And I'm excited for our celebration on September 24th. So don't forget to check that out. Thanks again. Check out the recording. It'll also be in an email to you. And feel free to share that in the campaign with anybody in your community. And yeah, anything to add, Lindsay or Eve or Jenny?
Thank you.
All right. Great. Thanks so much, guys.
I wanted to add, Zach, I see another question that popped up in the Q&A.
Oh, okay.
About the Oregon Power Payback Program.
Oregon Power Payback Program. That, yeah, that's a great question, but that's not ringing a bell for me for some reason. Is any Rachel or?
I think it expired. I think it's not happening anymore.
Okay, that's possible. If I don't know about it, and if we're shrugging, it might be an old program, or it might be something with a slightly different name. Either way, feel free to also reach out with questions over email to anybody in the campaign. We'll do some research and some digging for you to answer any questions you have. All right. Thanks again, everybody. And we'll see you at our next events and throughout the campaign.
Thanks all. Thanks, Zach.
Everybody.
Take care.